Hey team, Breezy here, back with another video here for offensive operations. Today we're go over a type of an attack. We're going to be going over an ambush. The reference for today is going to be the good old-fashioned TC 3-21.76. That is the Ranger Handbook for those of you that don't know. So we'll be using that and referencing that pretty close and going over the types of ambushes here. So just so we know, an ambush is a surprise attack from a concealed position on a moving or temporary halted target. They're characterized as hasty or deliberate and are divided into two types: point or area. And we can do a formation that's either linear, L-shaped. It doesn't reference it in the Ranger Handbook, but there's also a V-shaped ambush. Very, very situational for that one. Everything's going to be normally linear or L-shaped when it comes to planning and what you're probably going to deal with here. So our situation, just so we know, we have TAI 011, expected enemy C2 compound. It is assessed that a ordnance supply truck owned by Praga, guarded by two technicals and two BTRs, are going to be SPing using route Toyota to reinforce some local positions in a town to the southeast. We'll just call it town Popo, just for right now. The use route Toyota. It's a commonly used route that they do that they find pretty safe. So we have that mapped out with with some GMTI, right, over time. Okay, so some other things we got to know about ambush, right? So we got to know what time they're coming through, right? So we know when to set up. Okay, we can expect this route to go through, in concealment of darkness, because we think that's going to be when the enemy's most likely going to move, logistical supplies, whatever need, right? So that's a key factor that goes into it, right? So something we got to consider is, where do we want to engage these guys at, right? So we have this whole route, and looking at the terrain, we have what seems to be a mountain, right? We got this C2 compound on top of a mountain. We got all this wooded terrain. We could engage them in wooded terrain, but maybe not the best point, right? Maybe we want to find some open area or some canalizing terrain, right? So when we do engage them, they don't have many places to go. So that's something we'll have to take into consideration as we're looking through here. So not only looking at existing obstacles, right? So we've got like water, or we got like a canalizing road here into the open, right? We can also put our own reinforcing obstacles, right? So we could put claymores, we could put slap mines, you could put, if we had sea wire, we could put sea wire, anything really to help canalize and enforce them into an area. We got to also look at engagement, right? So where can we actually engage from? If we have AT4s, Gustavs, where can they engage from? If we have some belt feds like Mark 48, where can we engage the Mark 48s from? We also got to look at basically where we want to kill them at, which is called the kill zone, right? So from the kill zone, can we isolate that kill zone from them, enemy leaving or coming in, right? So containing for keeping them in, and then isolating them as enemy are trying to flow into that kill zone. And then where can we place it? Our friendly, our attack by fire, support by fire, and our assaulting elements that we have protection, right? And where can we set up our assault to be able to, assault and kill through that kill zone, establish an LOA. So as previously mentioned, we have hasty and deliberate ambushes, right? So hasty is just, we make visual contact and we come up with a plan really quickly to ambush them, right? Deliberate being what we're doing here, right? Predetermined location against the enemy, like we're figuring out, we're putting our ducks in a row to go ahead and engage the enemy here, right? And so we can do two different types, right? So we got point, right? So we could pick a specific point in a single kill zone, or we could do an area. So it's two or more related ambush point, right? So if we wanted to say, hey, I want to hit lead formation here, or I want to hit rear here, and let the lead come up to here to hit it, or if it's a bigger formation than just 5 vehicles, they're going to be spread out. We're going to engage here. We're going to engage here. Something like that. We can also do linear, right? So I can have all my guys in a line engaging, or I can have it L-shaped like we normally see with attack. Okay, so for this example, we're going to go over a deliberate ambush. It's going to be a point ambush specifically. Okay, and for this ambush, we're going to forego leader's recon, just because we have enough ISR. And let's face it, Armor 3, doing leader's recon in Milsim's a little boring. Not that it's not important, but it's when we know where the target is, we have all the information. It's a little boring, let's be honest. Just in this case, we're going to forego leader's recon because we know where we want to set some stuff up at. Okay, so the first planning consideration period here is looking at the terrain and what we know about the enemy, right? So we gotta look green and then put a red hat on before we start putting our think with their blue hat, right? So what we know already, terrain wise, we already kind of identified, right? They got to come down this hill. Probably can't engage in the trees here. That's not gonna be ideal, but this open area here. Seems to be a pretty good spot, right? They're going to have to come around this bend. It's pretty open before they get back in the trees. So this is a potential location. So I'm going to go ahead and mark this up here as one potential location. Okay, so establishing a kill zone is pretty important. We've outlined that here. A kill zone is a designated area targeted for intense offensive fire. It's designed to funnel and then obliterate enemy forces by using a combination of traps, obstacles, and concentrated firepower here, right? So what we've established here is in this kill zone, this is where I want to converge a lot of my firepower. So I'm just gonna go ahead and mark this up as kill zone A. Okay, we got kill zone A established. And looking here, we have another kind of area here that is an option for us, and we'll call it kill zone B. So kill zone A and kill zone B offer some pretty different advantages comparatively, right? So kill zone A seems to be pretty open from the flank here. And if I can use my cute little tool in game, that's a little bit of cheating, but using the topography kind of shows me a little bit better. I have this really high ground here going down to some low ground here. So if this is clear of brush, this should be a pretty good area to set up in the trees to be able to engage. Comparatively, from the south here, getting what looks to be some enfilading fire. Right, I'm getting downhill, right? So if I have my gun set up here, my guns being my crew serves, they can engage enfilading fire. So along the long axis of a formation, right? That's enfilading. So enfilading fire. And we can kind of engage this formation pretty advantageously with the crew serve weapon. So we have options for both, right? So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll look at support by fire locations here now that we got kill zones established. Okay, looking at kill zone alpha, right? We know up here's high ground, right? So inevitably, support by fire up here probably makes the most sense. All right, so support by fire 1 being set up here seems to have good eyes. Now a assault position, what would make the most sense is if we're established here, kill box, I can get more guns facing looking at east, right? So does it make sense for me to be? I could have my guys set up west, but on the eastern side of this, but enemy just gonna roll through here, so there's a risk of being compromised. If I set my friendlies over here, right, risk of fratricide of support by fire engaging. So it makes the most sense right now in this situation to have them in this tree line, laying down, ready to assault through once we've engaged and saturated the skill zone. So we'll establish our assault position here. Okay, so we got support by fire 1, assault 1 established here. Now we kind of want to isolate, right? So we know that they're coming from this road from the north, right? So it might make sense for somewhere around here for us to get a little bit of warning, right? Because they're going to slow down around this bend. And we know the enemy's going to keep flowing from this road. So in order to isolate it, maybe we get an ISO position up here. It's going to be out of the way from a support by fire, and it gives us early warning from that convoy coming down to make sure everybody's in place. We've oiled up our belt fed, everything's in place, ready to go. Attackers set, ready to engage. We're notified that prior to a vehicle crossing right out in the open, right? So giving us a 1 minute, maybe 30-second call. So we'll call this ISO 1, and then we'll try to stop any potential squirter from going northbound up this road here. We could put ISO 2, somewhere down here, watching the road, and they can kind of reinforce support by fire 1 if need be from here. So that's just an example. We could put another isolation point here, but generally, I think in this case, right, enemy, if we know are northeast, we'll put a point here and a point here, and that is a way to stop, to really isolate and then pain what we got going on. Awesome. So we got everything sorted out here, right? We got our assault, port by fire, ISO 1 and 2. And if we have more forces here, we could put double on the assault, right? So we can do assault 1, assault 2, port by fire, and then split this between 2 teams. And that's fine too, right? So I really like, the more I thought about this, I really like this ISO 2 spot here, because if ISO 1 gets compromised and we got to rapidly transition, ISO 2 here can, although it's from the downhill, defilade, and engage up, right? So this might be something to consider, having these guys have 40 Mike being notoriously good in firing in the defilade, uh, obviously down in a defilade and up from defilade. So this is what we got set up here. So what we can do is we can go ahead and establish more fire control measures within this kill zone alpha. So for fire control measures, something important is, when do we want to engage the vehicles, right? So if I move these markers down here, right? So this first marker, right? This BTR is going to be the lead element, we think, right? This lead vehicle. When in this kill zone do I want to engage? Do I want to engage it as soon as it gets in here? Probably not, right? So I'm probably going to have vehicles stacked up back here. Right, so I probably want to get to a point. There's a certain point here where I'm going to maximize my firepower onto the enemy, right? And that's going to require them to come into my kill zone a little bit further than what you would think is expected. I'm going to move all these markers down here, and it's going to paint a better picture of what I'm talking about. Okay, markers are moved down to kill zone alpha, right? So looking at, what's a decent size, right? This whole kill zone is a distance of less than 100 meters, right? Yeah, just about 100 meters, right? So we're doing 30-meter spacing. Like, maybe it's not going to fit all the vehicles within it, right? Sorry for the mod there, right? So maybe it's not going to fit all the vehicles. So something important to consider is, okay, how much am I realistically going to get in here? Maybe it's really not going to be this lead BTR, right? Maybe if they're broken up every 30 meters, I have to wait for my Praga to get in, right? So maybe my kill zone is here, but I know I'm going to want to engage or clack off this BTR, right? That's going to be over here to buy more space for the technical to get in, for the Praga to get in, so on and so forth, right? I'm creating more space for the big thing being the Praga being within inside, right? So maybe what we do is, this is our kill zone alpha. However, I have to let this BTR come out, so I got to get a claymore or a slap mine down here to be able to neutralize the BTR, while everything else is getting engaged here, and that's totally fine, right? So, but something we want to note is, hey, so when it's, at this case, right, we're letting BTR go by, then it's second vehicle, when do we engage? And that's using terrain features that are identifiable, right? So seems we got some trees here, right? So when that second vehicle passes the trees, that's when we're going to open up and engage. So how are we going to open up and engage? Well, to open up and engage, what makes a lot of sense is, and you'll see this often, obviously belt feds opening up, but we'll use our rockets, right? So we use AT4s or Carl Gustavs, and we'll engage. So there's different thought processes here, right? We can do largest gun, we can do communications platform, you could do a trail vehicle, lead vehicle. I like that a lot, right? So if I have two goose shots that I'm able to do and take out the lead technical and the rear BTR, then I am blocking the road for them to move, right? All the while my SPF is opening up middle, right? So now we're starting to get a plan together here, right? Okay, I want to get obviously doing ass backwards, right? That we learned of how we occupy these positions, right? Security, support by fire, and assault. But when we open up, right, I'm going to want the SPF to engage the technical BTR. Assault one's going to blow off the clacker to hit this BTR, the sleep BTR here. SPF's just going to open up, and we get to the point we're going to open up, get our mad minute on the objective, and then assault one's going to pick up and then is going to clear through southwest to northeast through the objective here, right? And so everything else goes into play that we normally did before, right? So we got TRPs probably to the west of the trees here, middle and right side. Go ahead and put those on here now. Okay, so we got TRP 1, 2, and 3. I always number my TRPs going away from my assault. That's just a thing that I do, and it helps. But TRP 1 being my right limit, and then make sure if I'm on, I think it's like 15 on tripod, 45, doesn't really matter, right? I'm trying to keep 45 off of friendlies. Engaging this first TRP 1, and I can move to 2, move to 3. Those could also be, I like doing middle parts here, right? So terrain that's identifiable. So to just right of the tree, this grove of trees here, and then for this being that left limit on the tree line on the eastern side of this grove, but for the SPF on the left, and then split the difference as 2 for them. But generally, right, we're not assaulting through while suppression's happening, but we have these in place just to help, right? So as assault 1 is assaulting through after we've had a mad minute, okay, support by fire shifted to TRP 2. They are still covering. They are still able to cover this bit as the assault force is going ahead and is clearing through on the objective, right? To get to this point, we get a shift fire as normal. We shift as they assault through. So everything stays the same. It's just the planning considerations for the kill zone. We also might tie into here some targets, right? We've seen our indirect fire assets, right? So if we got mortars, we got howitzers, we can tie those in. Or if we have road rear fixed wing assets, we can get those fires tied in, right, for our triggers on when we're trying to engage, right? So we might open up lead vehicle, trail vehicle with Gustav just in time for our A10 to come running up the motherfucking center with this thing, right? Obviously, that's pretty heavy overkill, but that's like a way to engage and get joint effects in your kill zone. Okay, so if you noticed here, we established a L shape, my favorite fucking thing, right? L shape ambush in this case, right? Down here for kill zone B is probably going to be advantageous. You potentially have a linear ambush. And in this case, we might be able to just engage along in inflating fire, be able to get effects, right? So maybe it'd probably be good to have L shaped here, but we'll walk this through and look at it on the linear side. Okay, now we're set up in Killzone Bravo here, and we're looking at a linear ambush here, right? So I got my Assault 1 and Support by Fire 2. Sorry, it should be Assault 2. Correction. Got Assault 2, Support by Fire 2 set up here. ISO 1 and 2 set up here, right? So the intent from this, right, is same thing as before. We're going to lead vehicle in to the point of the kill box. Kill zone that we're trying to get the most effects here, right? So in the kill zone, letting that BTR come in as far as possible, hitting it with the Gustav, and then letting our crew serve start engaging in enflating fires, right? So something to consider here, right, with a longer convoy here, if we don't have maybe the high ground to be able to look past the lead vehicle, right? So if we're laying just on the ground and we're on level playing field, right, that's something to consider. Right, we might have to offset some guns over here to try to get some effects looking left and right. Well, let's say our Gustavs are able to engage with the need to. We have belt feds able to engage wherever we need to, and we have them fixed here, and we've done our mad minute. So at this case, right, so it doesn't make sense really support by fire to be engaging here or still looking this way, as I have friendlies going here to clear for Assault 2 that's going to go clear down this road, right? So what we can easily do here is rotate the guns out, right? So support by fire could then start looking down to the east. So one gun to the east, one gun to the west. I have ISO 1 and 2 here. 2 is going to give me that early warning, and it's out of way of engagement. ISO 1 is also going to really do a little bit more of entertaining, I'd say, right? It can isolate coming in, but these guys are going to start squirting out, and they're going to be able to engage them squirting out. As as they are getting engaged here, right? We can have indirect effects, right? We got these TRPs going in here. This could be tied in with our mortars, right? Or target reference points for the mortars. And it also puts some depth into our kill zone, our kill box here, right? So for our kill zone, talking close, medium, and then trying to use some identifiable terrain, right? So these trees, and then far being the break within the water here. Always trying to tie in our fire controls and our maneuver graphics to actual shit that's in the game, not or sorry, that you can actually see, not something that's like arbitrary, like a grid line, right? Although we have to sometimes, it's pretty arbitrary. You don't actually see a grid line, right? So um, yeah, so that's essentially two ways to establish an ambush, right? Or thought process going into it, right? So biggest thing is establishing the kill zone. We can do a linear. Sorry, we can do a. Okay, so that's the essentials when it comes to an ambush. Really, it's establishing those kill zones, right? And we can do an L-shaped ambush or a linear ambush. What's going to matter is where you do it and what obstacles you have set up, right? That's the biggest thing that goes to an ambush. We could have set up an ambush over here, but it would not been as effective, right? Because we don't have a lot of avenues of like there's this thin avenue of approach, and then we don't have a lot of area to engage, right? Not a large field of fire to engage while they're up there. So picking the terrain that's going to help you in knowing the size of your enemy and what your enemy's comprised. This is going to help you, achieve the best effects, and then get off the target as quickly as possible. Speaking of getting off target, we do the same thing as we do for every other offensive operation, right? So we go ass forwards, right? So assault, support by fire, security as we're pulling them off. So if you have any questions, please let me know. This is just a fast down and dirty on the ambush. Leave a comment below, or just send me, if you have me on Discord, send me a DM, and I'll be make sure to answer your questions. So I appreciate it. Have a good one.